Welcome to TAO Dog Yoga. I'm Steph, this is my dog River, and for our practice we will be focusing on downward facing dog for you, but also for your dog. Right? So it's a little different for us than it is for our dogs, but the concept's the same. In downward dog, we're focusing on bringing the front half of our body downward and lifting the back half of our body. So we're going to go through all the details of downward dog, take a few breaths in that pose, and then move to working on teaching that to our dogs. All right, so coming to your mat, let's take a few breaths together to arrive. Settle into our bodies and set the tone for our practice. So coming to your comfortable seat, your legs can be crossed, you can have your legs out in front of you. If you're practicing at home, you might want to sit up on a pillow. It's really supportive. Shifting back and forth a little bit, sitting up nice and tall. Bring your awareness to your shoulder blades on the back of your body and give them a little squeeze. Yeah, good. Seeing that lifts your heart, and then let your chin lift just a little bit to open up the whole front of your body. Let's start with 3 deep breaths together. You can let your hands land right on your lap. Take a deep inhale. Open your mouth and sigh it out. Breathing in again, nice and deep. Breathe in through your nose. This time, exhale out through your nose. Let's take a third inhale. Breathe in. At the top of your inhale, hold your breath. And then nice and slow, exhale out through your nose. Really, really slowly. Let your body soften here. Notice what your dog is doing in space. You can keep your mouth gently closed. Breathe in and out through your nose. You can ask your dog to lay down beside you if your dog's wandering around or seems like they're confused on what we're doing. Right? And your dog may be wandering about your space as you practice yoga, and that's absolutely fine as well. And then bring one hand to your heart, one hand to your dog if they're close to you. Otherwise, both hands can go over your heart. Let's close our eyes and we'll set an intention for our practice. Let's choose one word. It can be the first word that comes to mind. Good. And sealing that intention with a big breath in. And exhale it out. You can open your eyes, release your hands. We'll come right into table on our mat. So reminding your dog to stay if that's helpful for your dog, and transitioning nice and slow. As always in dog yoga, if we move quickly, our dogs will move quickly. If we move slow, they tend to maybe notice what we're doing, but not get up too much. I noticed River peeked over at me as I moved, but went back to sleep when he realized it's not his turn yet. Good, and then coming into table, taking your hands underneath your shoulders, knees, about hip distance and underneath your hips. Good, and we're gonna come into our downward dog, really focusing on the details here. So many times in our yoga practice, we're just flowing through down dog. It's awesome. It can be a warm-up pose. It can be a resting pose. It can be so many things. But for today, we're going to focus on the details and how to find more expansion in our downward dog. So take your right hand, walk it forward about 5-6 inches, and then do the same with your left hand. Before we even come up, let's think about our hands as our support. Notice how your hands naturally fall. A lot of times we shift our weight back into the heels of our hands, which brings a lot of pressure into our wrists. Let's use our entire hand here. So shifting forward into your palm, feeling your knuckles underneath your palms connect, your fingers connect, and press each of your fingertips into your mat. So you should feel your whole hand active here. And then start to press down. You're gonna feel your arms start to engage all the way up into your armpits and where your rib cage begins, right? Lots of activity there. From here, we bring in our core. So bring your awareness to your belly button, start to draw it in and let your back lift up as you do that. Press into your hands, curl your toes under, leading with your core. Keep drawing it up and in, sending your hips up behind you. Nice. Good, and then let's pedal out our feet. So being mindful of your hands, using your entire hand here to support you, shifting the weight out of your wrists.
Let's alternate. We'll lift our right heel and then our left heel. This helps to allow our hamstrings to open up so that we can find more space in our legs in our downward dog. Good. We'll go right and left, and then one more time right, and one more time left. And then coming to stillness. You can walk your feet in just a little bit, right? You can start with a little bend in your knees, using your hands here, pressing, and then sending your hips up even further. So use your hands, press in, feel that length through your rib cage, out through your spine, out through your tailbone. And your hips are reaching up. Excellent. And then check out your feet. Let's take a breath in. And then as we exhale, press into your hands, send your hips high, and start to reach your heels downward. Your legs may start to straighten a little. Support your hamstrings here with a bent knee if that feels good in your body. You can start to straighten, right? That's up to you whether they're bent or straight. Let's take 3 full rounds of breath here, feeling your body really start to warm up. Deep inhale. On your exhale, press into your hands, send your hips up nice and high behind you. Good. Another big inhale. And exhale. Good. Breathe in. Press into your hands, shift your hips back, heels reach downward towards your mat. Awesome. And then lower yourself down, come back to tabletop. Walk your hands in. Do a little bit of a counter stretch here. So taking your hands and reversing them, right? This is a nice stretch in our wrists. So you can come onto the backs of your palms and just stretch out your wrists a little bit, shifting your weight back. We'll take 3 breaths here. Inhale and exhale. This time, let your head even go. Let your head drop down. Yeah. Inhale and empty out. One last round of breath. Good. And then you can release your hands. Good. And we'll shift into working with our dogs. So noticing your breath here, how you were breathing in and out. We're so focused on our body. Sometimes we even forget what our dog is doing as we're practicing, right? And knowing that, like, that's totally okay if you get lost in your practice, right? You become more meditative when you're really focusing on these details. And that's the beautiful thing. The thing that happens there is you're signaling to your dog with your breath and your presence that they can also relax and be present and calm. All right, we're going to invite our dogs in to work with us. So you'll want to have some treats or kibble for your dog that you can have a few pieces to work with this. I'm going to show you downward dog from the beginning stages with our dogs with a hand support. As your dog advances, you can move that hand support away. With all of the yoga we do with our dogs, we want to move nice and slow. So if you have a really, really energetic, motivated dog, they're going to want to offer this maybe as a play bow, something really quick. So we're going to use our food as a lure, right? Putting it on our dog's nose, slowly luring it down, helping support them so that our dogs are actually stretching and using their muscles rather than the momentum to get there, right? It can be really fun if they do a play bow really quickly, but can they do it slowly, right? So thinking about that, you can grab your treats. Notice what your dog does when you do that. Yeah, on cue, huh, River? Good boy. So I expect that from River. The second I get food, he knows we're working together because we do a lot of dog yoga like this. And then when I tell him to go lay down, he knows, okay, it's not my turn. So your dog will learn that as well the more you practice. So I'm going to do this from a kneeling position, and you can do this from a standing position or kneeling. So we're going to place, I have little treats. Because I'm going to be using my right hand for a support hand, I just have a handful of treats, and I'm just going to feed River one at a time as I need to, so you can do that too. Bring your dog over to a non-slip surface so they can get really good grip, and then lure your dog into a stand in front of you. You can feed 1 piece of food, feed 2 pieces, good, and 3 pieces, just for them standing there. Bring your hand underneath your dog, so you can bring it right in front of your dog's hips and lower belly. And I'm going to feed 3 pieces to River just for that. So you can do that too, just teaching your dog that your hand, right, is there for support. What this helps us do is when we start to lower food down like this, if your dog wants to go into a down, they feel your hand and they don't. So this is our starting place. So have your support. Let's try this 3 times. 1 treat on your dog's nose, bring it down. Good boy. Good, and then back to a stand. Good, let's try that again. Bring it down. Even if your dog is right here, perfect, and then stand. If my hand wasn't here, River would lay down. So we're teaching them muscle memory. Let's try that one more time. Bring the food down. Even if your dog is right here to start, that's fine. Good boy. Bring it up. Let's give our dogs a little break. You can toss a little piece of food. River, free. Ready? Free. Down. Good. So you notice as I did it with River, he started to bring his lower half down and back end up. That's really what I'm looking for, teaching him to find that position nice and slow. So he's getting all of the benefits from the stretch and also the strength. When you're doing this with your dog and you're first bringing the food down, you can bring the food down and just get your dog used to that. So I'll show that next. Once your dog understands that, we move the food inward. So I'll show you those 2 pieces. All right, lure your dog back into a stand. Come here. Let me get my hand for support. Come here, River. Come here. Good, 1 hand underneath my dog. Good, and then I'm just gonna bring the food down to start. You can feed right here, like that. Good, bringing the food down towards your dog's paws. Good, just teaching them to bring their front end down and their back end is lifted, right? That's what our downward dog is for us and for them. Now take a piece of food, bring the food down and bring it in between your dog's paws, shifting their weight back. You see River shifted back? And you're gonna play with the food until they end up finding that position, but this is what'll bring it, bringing it down and inward towards their paws. Good. So that's the next progression. Feed, bring it down and inward. We'll see if River will go back a little. There we go, good boy. Good. And release. You can free your dog. Good, River down. Good boy. You can reload on some treats or kibble. So when you're doing this with your dog, when River, I'm not really saying much to him, you notice? But when River gets to that position where he's really doing what I would say is like the downward dog I'm hoping that we can achieve, right, Tigger? I'm gonna tell him yes. So I'm gonna mark that. So there is some dog training happening here. It's actually a lot of dog training happening in our yoga session here. So we're luring, we're giving a lot of physical help with our hands and our support. When River finds that, I'm gonna also give him the verbal marker, which means you did the right thing, and for him, that's yes. So you can use yes, you can use a click noise that you make. Some of you do clicker training. I don't really bring that into dog yoga because it gets River really jazzed up, and so my yes is plenty for him. So when he does that, I wanna mark that yes. So when he hears yes and he feels that in his body, he knows that's what he's working for and working towards, right? Once he starts to get that, I'm gonna start to remove my hand, have him hold that for a second, feed and release him out of it. So I like to do the 3 repetitions of feeding and a break to help build our dog's core, help them stretch nice and slowly, and then give them a little break. River, you can see even laying here, his eyes are starting to close because this is tiring work. Your dog might be panting, so want to give them a little bit of a break, especially when they're first starting. So let's reload on our treats. Let's do 1 more round with our dogs. All right, I got the lid back on. All right, bud, come here. So inviting your dog back over. First starting with the stand, you can feed a piece of food for that. Come here. River wants to slide off my mat, but I want to try to keep him on the non-slip surface. And then I'm going to feed for my hand being under here a few pieces, right? I want him and I want your dog to accept that. Now a piece of food on his nose, I'm going to go straight downward and in between his paws. He shifted back a little, good boy. And I'm not going to say yes until he actually gets to that right position. Down and in. Yes. Good boy. Down and in. Yes. Good. I'm going to do a few more of those since he's on a roll. Yes. Good.
You can do 2 more with your dog. So he might be fatiguing, right? Because he just did 3 really good ones. So I'm going to try one more time. Bringing it in. Good boy. Excellent. And free. Good boy. Good. And then you can invite your dog back over. Ask them to lay down. You can reward them for that. And then come back to your comfortable seat. So it can be tempting when River is on a roll like that for me to keep going until I end on one that was really great. And in dog training, we really want to end on that last rep. That's really good. But when we're talking about dog yoga, if he did really good 3 reps, he's using a ton of core there, and then he starts to not be able to do it, for me that's feedback and information that it's time to stop with him. So this is such a beautiful way to get feedback from your dog. If your dog just lays down, or they did it great a couple times and then it gets kind of sloppy, or they seem disinterested, or they're panting really hard and they're like, oh, that was a lot, right? Trusting your dog, right? With that feedback that it's time to just stop, right? And next time we practice yoga together, I'll ask for that a couple of times and see if we can progress to taking the hand away. But those are the progressions so you can practice with your dog. Right, let's close our time together the way we began. 1 hand on your heart, 1 hand to your dog, if they're close by. Let your eyes close and we'll take one final breath together. Deep inhale. Let it go. You can open your eyes, release your hands. Good boy. And praise your dog for a job well done. Good job. And we'll see you back here with our next practice together here at TAO Dog Yoga.